Globally, identity theft is a problem worth trillions of dollars and growing. Addressing this problem, a Johannesburg-based company said it's developed a world's first identity authentication technology that simulates the human thought process and is better than conventional geometry-based biometric technology.
Eyes top left. Eyes top right.
The EyeDx technology works off smartphones and many other devices with digital cameras.
I truly believe that EyeDx is revolutionary. I think it's the phase of which all new technologies will be built on later. And what I loved about it was that it can, at an industrial grade level, provide authentication using a cell phone, which is unheard of. And if we think about border posts or banks or anything else, one of the hardest things to do is authenticate a person. All its uses are still to be defined. But the first place that you would see this technology is in anything to do with banking or security using a cell phone. It's that accuracy is what we need, because that's the only way we can do bigger projects.
Established as a joint venture by the University of Johannesburg, EyeDx launched its next generation technology at this year's Securix Security Industry Show.
So what we've been researching over the past 5 years and now taking to market is an artificial intelligence solution to the who question. This particular technology is entirely based on semantic memory. Okay? When you approach somebody that you know, who you know, that process which we as individuals naturally and instinctively go through stimulated this particular discovery initially to say, well, conventional biometrics not up to scratch, not up to the task. Let us see whether we can't get a device like this, the one thing we all carry with us all over all the time, to do what we as humans instinctively and naturally do, human cognition. Now, can we ever get to that? No. But are we well ahead of conventional biometrics, this technology? Way ahead.
EyeDx documentation states that its technology on average performs 20 times better than existing biometric technology.
It was particularly related to the common authentication method that people have deployed extensively, the ubiquitous fingerprint. There are good publications on conventional, say, fingerprint results. Okay? You simply compare those results to what we've experienced on our sample database of about 1.4 million subjects, and you get the result. But it's independently verifiable using a BI tool called AIQ that we make available to customers. They can actually see what happens in the back end. They can test it for themselves. We've tested this technology extensively, even for twins, and the results have been very, very good. We have no hesitation to say, well, here's the technology, the 10th largest bank in the world, deploying this in 8 territories of the world for amongst 100 million customers. Test it and see what it does. And they've been at it for a year now.
So we are launching, in partnership with a few other companies who we have the agency for, a brand new mobile EFT platform. And that platform, its app, will be the first one to use the world's most secure system, which is EyeDx and the EyeDx platform. So that will allow you to authenticate yourself into the app without needing fingerprints, which, as you know, are not 100% reliable, especially in large population groups, but also that it will provide the user with the clarity of knowing that they are who they say they are, but also that we can store their documents for them correctly, because we are sure of who they are.
Cognitive processing starts with taking an identification photo. Proprietary software takes control of the device's digital camera and applies special filters, enhancing the image.
The eyes, in fact, equate to the device. Okay? The retinal tract, in fact, equates to the internet. The brain to the cloud, and the area of the brain, and there are 2 areas of the brain where that cognitive process in fact occurs, is in fact then similar to the cognitive processes we run in the background in high-end computers.
Authenticate, I mean, they were the ones who have actually done a lot of pioneering work in the facial identification space. So they've got technology that can identify people up to 800 meters away. And I know a lot of the Chinese companies have actually looked into that technology to try and implement it in China.
This is an evolutionary technology, and maybe the best way to look at it is this analogy, which is Captain Kirk standing on his spacecraft, and he says, plot me a course from there to there. And everyone goes, wow, that's amazing, you know, he's going through a meteorite and he's warping there. But nobody asked, how did it know it's Captain Kirk? This is what this technology is. It's the next generation of security technology which will change the way the world works. And that's what I truly believe. And that's what I've seen in 25 years of being in the industry. I've never seen anything quite like it.
The EyeDx technology is far from being equal to human abilities. It's currently in beta phase with more than 30 entities testing it. EyeAuthenticate plans to roll out commercially within 2 months. Marisa de Klerk, Joburg Today.
I'm Zonile Ngubeni and you're watching Joburg Today.
Like us on Facebook, joburgtoday.tv, and follow us on Twitter at Joburg Today. There's still no clarity about who is behind the global WannaCry Ransomware attack. However, despite South Africa's vulnerability to cyber attacks, it seems we were not so severely affected. One cybersecurity expert says he is not so sure that all South Africans got away so lightly.
I think it is very much by chance that we didn't get big consequences, although I must say that I'm not so sure that we didn't get that. Because remember, in South Africa, reporting cybercrime or cyber incidents is not compulsory. So it may be that around the corner there's a big company who lost lots of information, who actually got encrypted. They got ransomed, and they paid the ransom. They got their data back, and they swept it under the carpet. So if we say that South Africa wasn't so largely hit, I would say how many were reported? And I've got the feeling lots didn't report it.
South Africa recently launched the cybersecurity hub. I'm sure those boys had a field day just trying to actually isolate and quarantine this little virus. My question to you is, how well did they manage that?
I went to their website and there wasn't a word about the virus. I'm very, very skeptical about the cyber hub as such because they just haven't got the capacity. And I think South Africa is going along the wrong route by, if you look at the cybercrime and cybersecurity bill, by creating about 4 of these computer incident response centers. We just haven't got the people. And I can tell you, I'm convinced that this so-called cyber hub, they didn't do anything about this. They just didn't have the skills to do anything about it.
We're hearing that the virus is actually mutated. What is the status of this virus?
That is as uncertain as anything else. And you can look at all type of cyber attacks. The moment somebody does something successful, there are lots of copycats out there to follow route. And we will see more attacks like this. You see, it is just the biggest way of making money at the moment. It is been claimed that if all the ransoms of all the systems that were ransomed paid the ransom, it's an order of $1 billion. And many companies in South Africa, and I've got some phone calls and emails saying, my system has been ransomed, what must I do? So it has happened in South Africa. It's kept under the carpets.
So what's the current damage that WannaCry has caused so far?
Well, let's just go back to the NHS in the United Kingdom. At the moment, it's been claimed that most of the hospitals are up and running again. But a lot of emergency operations had to be cancelled because the information, the data wasn't available. So some of those patients might have died, we don't know. Some of the other companies, like for example the German railways, they may have consequences in terms of a lot of their trains weren't on time. People lost their trips, people lost their flights because of the trips. So they made a lot of money, a lot of losses indirectly. So all these things putting together, I think there's a lot of emotional loss, there's a lot of financial loss, there's a lot of medical loss, there may be even some deaths, but the consequences, I tell you, is severe.
Now, you've got ongoing conflict in the world. You've got ISIS in one corner, you've got North Korea posturing its military threat. You also have alleged Russian interference within the American and French elections. Do you see WannaCry as a potential military weapon?
I don't think it's necessarily a nation state involved in here. But let's also be clear about that. I've got no doubt about it, that every one of the big nation states do have their arsenal of cyber weapons, which they can let loose tomorrow, and they can actually start a cyber war. Because what type of target will you attack in that case? You will not necessarily attack a hospital. You will attack the power distribution infrastructure of a country. You will attack their critical information infrastructure, like their water supply, or their aircraft, their air management system. So that's the type of critical information infrastructures that's running the economy and whatever it is of a country. That's what you will go for. I'm not sure this is the first step of a cyber war. I think this is still cyber crime. Not that it's less important, but it may be the same people. It may be that some nation state has rented these people or hired these criminals to do that, and that eventually they will hire them to do more things.
So what advice would you give South African citizens and big business in protecting their information?
I will say that the whole concept of cyber security, of cyber resilience in your company, is not a technical issue. Don't delegate it to your IT department. It is a corporate governance issue. The board of directors has got the accountability to make sure that their company stays healthy. And if their company gets sick because their clients' data are encrypted and their customers are getting upset, that is as important as when the money is stolen and fraud happens, which is their responsibility. So I think it's happening. It's happening all over the world. But in South Africa at the moment, I think the more in big companies, boards of directors can start realizing the buck stops with you. If the customers can prove negligence, that the board did not make sure that there were proper backups of the system, then they're going to lose their jobs. They're going to be personally accused and stand in the dock. Smaller companies, big problem. There's a report out by the South African government saying that about 60 or 70% of small businesses have an internet presence, and they exist because of their internet presence. So if that is taken off the air, they're going to go bust, and there'll be going to be job losses all over the country. And that report says that cybersecurity protection of these small companies are bad. They haven't got the money, and they haven't got the expertise. We need capacity in this country. And that's what we are doing at the moment at the University of Johannesburg by having a cybersecurity capacity building center. But government must take the initiative to say, let's think out of the box how we can create more capacity.
How's it? This is Dominic Oliver, and you're watching Joburg Today.
And that brings us to the end of the show. For more coverage on the city, do check out our playlist. And that's it from me, Nashina, and the rest of the team. Thank you for watching. Have a great Monday.